Good evening, everyone. I'm Susan Kennedy, and welcome to this County Council Youth Town Hall meeting. Tonight we come to you live from Clarksburg High School, where we have a group of students, a large group of students, who've taken time out of this busy night where it's raining and it's the 7th game of the World Series, I must add, to come out here to ask questions to their council members. So before we go to the floor to talk to them, I'm going to turn it over to Council President Nancy Navarro for some opening remarks.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody. First things first, go Nats. All right, first things first. Thank you for being here on such an important night. I want to first acknowledge and thank Principal Owusu for having us here this evening and hosting us for this town hall. I also would like to welcome members of the Board of Education who have joined us this evening. We have Board President Shevra Evans, who is here sitting on a table with us. We have Board Member Brenda Wolf. We have your Student Board Member, Nathaniel Teenby. Thank you for being here. So my name is Nancy Navarro, and I'm the president of the Montgomery County Council. My district is District 4, which is the mid portion of the county. And actually, this year, we're trying something different. We're doing 2 youth town halls, and instead of doing them in Rockville, we are hosting this one in the Up County, and we will have another one down county so that our young people can have the opportunity to come over and access, and share with us whatever it is that they have to say. So we wanted to be geographically accessible, and we're really excited. Every time we have these youth town hall meetings, it is truly a highlight of the year because you guys have such extraordinary questions, suggestions, recommendations, and you've actually have shared some particular recommendations that we have then taken on and made some particular budget changes. So we really do appreciate your input, and you should know that your input matters and it really does cause changes. So before we get started, I'm going to ask my colleagues to introduce themselves, and then we're going to get right into the conversation. So let me start to my right, Councilmember Albornoz.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Gabe Albornoz. I'm one of your 4 at-large members of the County Council, which means I represent the entire county. And I chair the Health and Human Services Committee on the County Council. And prior to being a council member, I had the honor and privilege of serving as the director of the county's Recreation Department for 12 years. So I want to acknowledge our incredible Recreation Department staff who work tirelessly to provide high quality and important youth programs across this entire county. So great to be with you guys and look forward to your questions.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sidney Katz, and I'm the Vice President of the County Council. Prior to me becoming a County Council member, I was the Mayor of Gaithersburg. There you go. That's absolutely. Thanks for that. I'm the Chair of the Public Safety Committee, and I am on the Government Operations Committee with Council President Nancy Navarro.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Craig Rice. I am your District 2 council member, so I represent this area of the Up County. I also chair our Education and Culture Committee, so I'm very anxious to hear what you guys have to say about our state of education. I'm also a member of the Kerwin Commission, which is our Commission on Innovation and Excellence in Education at the state level, talking about how to reform education. I am also a member of our Health and Human Services Committee with Councilmember Albornoz, and am really excited to hear from you guys this evening. I'll just say one thing very, very quickly. Out of these meetings have come more access for economic development as well as food trucks and things like that in Burtonsville, ride-on free, mental health services, school nurses increased. All of those things happened as a result of your advocacy as students. Don't think that you don't have the power to change, because every single year as you bring us ideas, we're bringing those to the forefront, bringing those to the budget. You are making a difference. So thank you all for being here.
Good evening. It gives me a great pleasure to be here this evening to join our county council members at the student town hall. We usually hear so much about the questions that are asked, and so we were invited to come and hear directly from our students. So I am looking forward to the questions that you will have for me and for our county council members, and do my best to answer those questions. So just really great to see the crowd out here this evening in spite of the rain. So you all are very engaged. Great to see you.
Also, let me mention that 4 of our colleagues, Councilmember Hucker, Friedson, Councilmember Reamer, and Jawando, could not join us this evening because they have previous family commitments, but they will definitely be watching and making sure that we follow up on whatever question that might be. I also want to welcome Dr. Judy Daca, who is a member of the Board of Education and who's been an amazing advocate for many years. So welcome, Dr. Daca. Okay, so I'll turn it over to Susan Kennedy.
Thank you. Before we get to Nate, I just wanted to mention to everybody, if you're on social media tonight and you're taking pictures or tweeting out what you're hearing, use the hashtag MocoYouth or hashtag MyVoiceMatters. And we'd love for you guys to post whatever you're hearing and talking about here at the meeting on your social media channels. We appreciate it. So I have Nate, the student member of the school board, with the first question.
Good evening. Thank you guys so much for hosting this town hall at Clarksburg High School. I simply wanted to start off by asking, what is the most important educational issue to you and why?
Okay, I'll start real quick and then I'll turn it over to my colleague Craig Rice. I think without a doubt the opportunity gap or the academic achievement gap continues to be a #1 priority. I think especially because of who our student population is and the need that we have for excellent workforce and the priority that we place on our quality of education. I think that this issue is front and center for us, and it's something that we continue to work on very aggressively. And of course, resources are always very important in order to fund those initiatives and in order to fund those kinds of interventions that are so needed to bring that issue of equity to the forefront. But Councilmember Rice, who chairs the Education and Culture Committee, will also elaborate.
So Nate, that's a very great question, and it's a powerful one because I think the underlying underpinnings of what Council President Navarro is talking about with equity is opportunity. Every student wants to have the opportunity to do whatever it is that they want to do to be successful, whether it's playing a sport, whether it's playing an instrument, whether it's working in the biotech field, whether it's becoming an attorney, whether it's becoming a hairstylist, whatever it is, and there's opportunities for all folks to be successful in so many different realms. The problem is we don't give our students enough access to achieve that. We don't give them that opportunity. We're working on that, and we're increasing that, but we don't do it enough. And I will tell you, for those people who are challenged, whether it's socioeconomically, whether it's that you have challenges in your life from a mental health standpoint that stand in the way, we owe it to students to make sure that we're eliminating those barriers so that you can achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. That is true opportunity, and that's what we have to work on as that end goal, that end finish line for all of our kids, not just for some of our kids.
Vice President Katz.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the question, Nate. You know, I'm a graduate of Montgomery County Public Schools as well, a few years back, but I'm a graduate of Montgomery County Public Schools. And I have to tell you that Montgomery County has always been extremely proud of the education that all of our students receive. And we still are working very, very hard to make certain that pride continues. One of the things that I'm certainly interested in, obviously the academic side is something that we all are interested in as well, but I'm concerned about the career education side. I believe that and we have Edison, and we're going to have Seneca Valley that also is going to have a center. But people can make a great living for themselves, have a great life through many, many ways of doing things. In my own case, I grew up, my parents had a store, I worked in the store, and I went to University of Maryland, went to Montgomery College, and then I went to University of Maryland and graduated with a degree in business and public administration, only because I couldn't just get a business degree from them. That was the major. And ultimately in my life, I became a business owner and am involved in public administration. So education is the most important key. I didn't necessarily know that I needed that side of education, Very glad that I got it. We all have a great pride. We need to continue it. Thank you.
So I very much associate myself with everything that my colleagues have said. I want to underscore 2 points, and the council president said it perfectly with regards to the opportunity gap. I'd like to get to a point where every or where they are in the community can credibly say that they have access to a quality after-school program. And we're getting closer through efforts like Excel Beyond the Bell, Rec Extra, and a number of our incredible community-based organizations, but I feel like we've still got a long way to go. I am also, as the chair of the Health and Human Services Committee, very, very concerned about the mental health and mental health issues of our students across the county. You guys are having to process unimaginable issues and challenges to us because we didn't have those same issues, and we need to do all that we can to provide a support system in place and support our school guidance counselors and our school health nurses and our parents and all of you to really kind of tighten the safety net.
All right, I have the next question from...
My name is Maman Hollard. I go to Roberto Clemente Middle School, and I am in the 8th grade. I am a part of the EBB program, and my question to you is there a way that we can fix the utilities at school, like electric? Like the water fountains, the bathrooms, things like that. And at our school, the bathrooms don't even have doors. The water fountain. All
right, guys, let's do this. Because we just want to be able to answer your question. So but we can't hear if you're clapping. So let's have him finish the question and then we'll answer. Go ahead.
Most of our facilities and our water fountains are really bad. Is there a way we can get money to fix this? Not just our school, but in schools around and schools.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's a really awesome question. I'm going to turn it over to the board president. Say that we are constantly listening to the requests of the Board of Education as they prioritize, especially when it comes to facilities. Your feedback is super important in that respect. But I'm going to turn it over to the president of the Board of Education. As you know, the Board of Education is the body that's responsible for ensuring those kinds of specific particular issues that affect the schools. County Council is responsible for making sure that the money is there. It's always a challenge every year. Let me turn it over to the president of the board, and then if anybody else wants to answer, we can do that.
Yes. So if I heard correctly, was that Roberto Clemente Middle bathrooms and water fountains. So right now we're going through what we call our capital improvements program. We want to make certain that you are in schools that are safe, that are welcoming, and schools that you could be proud of. We do not want you to be in schools where there are no doors in the bathrooms, the water fountains are broken. So in the past, what the board has had, we had a policy where we just looked at our schools on a case-by-case basis. There was an order to schools getting repaired and modernized. And so now what we try to do is, what we do know is that there are things that we can do in the meantime, in between time, before we modernize and build new facilities. And so what I will do is just take note of what was said today, take it back to our chief operating officer to see if your principal has put in a work order to make certain that those things get repaired. And if not, we'll figure out why not. But definitely we want to make certain that you're in a school where you can have privacy and people can respect that. So I will take note of that. Thank you for sharing.
Councilmember Rice.
Just very briefly, I just wanted to add something in. Make sure that if you have problems with your school, that you don't wait until a night like tonight. You have a student member of the board who's there to represent you and the issues that you have. So make sure you reach out. I know he's on Twitter. I know he's on Instagram. I know you can reach out to him any of those ways and get with him and let him know about those things, so that we can address them as they come about, because we don't want you to have to wait, right? We want to address these when they first become an issue. If you see something that's wrong, let folks know. Also communicate to your administration, because they may not know that one of the things is broken because they're not using it. They're not using the water fountains, you guys are. And so they're not going to know unless you tell them, hey, this thing is broken. So make sure you go through those channels as well. We'll certainly handle it, and I'm happy you brought it up, but make sure you go through those channels too to communicate those things that you see wrong. Don't feel as though you can't say something to administration about something that you see that's wrong in your school. You can.
I want just to add, you have a student government association, you have a parent, teacher, and student association where you can bring those issues to the forefront. With the PTSAs, they have cluster coordinators, they had area vice presidents that come before the school board on behalf of the schools and the parents in that community, and they let us know the issues and concerns that are raised by students and parents and teachers. There are 207 schools there are 8 school board members, 1 is a student. We don't know everything that is going on in the school system, but we definitely take that feedback to heart, and we want to make certain that our schools are up and running in proper condition. Just wanted to add that.
I do want to reemphasize what Councilmember Rice said. I know that all of you are on social media 24/7, so also make sure, as he was saying, to follow Nate Teenbite and to just share those kinds of concerns. The board also has public hearings for their budget, and I think it's January, February. So, you can let him know, hey, this is what's happening. Make sure that you bring this up, because the use of social media, it's just a much more direct way to get your voice across. So I'm sure that he'll be happy to stay afterwards to talk to folks. But any of the members of the board are also very, very accessible.
I'm from Lakelands Park, and my name is Oren, and I'm wondering if the Chicago teacher strike is affecting Montgomery County.
That's a very good question. Is that the entire budget for Montgomery County government is something like $5.8 billion. And almost half of that is to fund the school system's operations. So what that says, something like $2.6 billion goes to the school system. So what that says is that we are all investing heavily in strong collaboration with the teachers union and the Board of Education, as well as the principals union, as well as the the SEIU, support service personnel union, so they can come together and negotiate and make sure that they take into consideration what's in the best interest for you to receive the best education. So I guess the short answer is no, it doesn't really affect us because we have this really great culture here, but it's something that we're always paying attention to, because obviously we know that our teachers in that classroom are it's the best effect that they can have on you. We want to make sure that the conditions and also teacher pay is up to par.
And I wanted to add to that, we definitely have a very good relationship. We are all partners in education. We recently had, the board recently had a meeting with the teachers union on October the 10th, where we came together to discuss what was happening well in our school system, as well as what were some of the challenges. So we try to make certain that we keep the lines of communication open. Board members meet with the officers and whichever teacher reaches out to us, emails us, and we talk to them on a pretty regular basis. They will respond to us on Twitter, right? They will email us. They will send us messages through Facebook. So we are very accessible, and our teachers know that they have any concerns that they can bring them to us, as well as to our county council members. So we have a good working relationship.
Okay, next question.
Hello, my name is George Sarapolo. I'm in 6th grade, and I come from Roberto Clemente Middle School. And my question to you is, what are you going to do to improve our education, not in just Roberto Clemente, but in all schools?
Sure, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Craig Rice.
So you actually gave me a great platform. I just came from Annapolis today, George, and so let me just tell you what's going on. What's going on is there's a conversation about making sure that we have more supports wraparound supports for our kids in school. So that means that if you're going hungry, if your family is experiencing food insecurity, we want to make sure that that's there. If you're experiencing interruptions in health care and maybe you don't have all the health care you should, that's there for you. We want to make sure that there are more mental health counselors and counselors in general in your schools to make sure that you're cared for. When it comes to our education system, we just have a brand new curriculum that the school system has adopted, which is 22nd century, truly. We really are becoming more globally competitive in that realm. And so what we're also doing is expanding programs. So just like you have great IB programs that we see in specialized programs at schools, we're expanding those to all schools, because when I talked about opportunity before, it's important to make sure that every kid has the opportunity to excel, not just some of our kids. And so we really are looking at that in addition to making sure that we pay our teachers more, so that we can ensure that we have highly qualified teachers in front of every single one of our students. We want to make sure that also when it comes to when you get to deciding what you're going to do, whether you're going to go college or career, that we have pathways for you. So by 10th grade, you'll be able to decide, am I going to go to a career or am I going to go to college? Or you can still, take a track that if you're still not sure, you can still do some of those things as well. But it really gives more options to our students. That's what we're focusing on, making sure that every single one of our kids has what they need to be successful. Those are some examples, but I encourage you, if you really care about education, please read the Kerwin Commission. All you have to do is Google it. I promise you it'll come up. There's a great presentation that's there. I've served for 3 years on this commission, thinking about just what George said. How can we ensure that our education system is better for all of our kids, not only in Montgomery County, but in the entire state of Maryland? So thank you for that question.
The one thing I will add is that also on the local level, we launched an early care and education initiative this year, and that is to address the issue of babies, so 0 to 5, so that they can have high quality early care and education, so that when they enter kindergarten, everybody is ready for kindergarten. So that's a really important also aspect of education that sometimes we don't pay too much attention to. For quality education and for educational success. Yes.
So my name is Eastwood and I go to Clarksburg, and safety for me has always been like one of my concerns. So in terms of like student safety and like protocols in place for like mass shootings and stuff like that, like what's in place, because I know for me in particular, like there's sometimes like my mom's afraid I'm not going to come home just for me going to school, and like I'm afraid coming to school. So what exactly is in place about that?
So if I can, it's a little hard to hear, but if I heard the question correctly, Susan, it's regarding school safety, and it's regarding how students, don't feel safe necessarily because of all the different incidents that have occurred. So let's see, Councilmember Katz, he's the chair of our Public Safety Committee.
Well, first off, thank you for the question. It is most important to all of us, to every person in Montgomery County, candidly, that all of our students feel safe in the school and when they're not in school. We have school resource officers in the high schools and starting in the middle schools. That is something that this council has funded and has done that for many, many years. I think many of you know that a school resource officer becomes a friend. It's someone that you can go to and talk to. That it's someone, if you know of a problem, you don't necessarily just have to call 911. You can go speak to the school resource officer. It's a program that continues to work. We also have many other possibilities, chances to meet with police officers. We certainly have a robust way that police officers are community policing, and that they also discuss things that are being done. We work with Montgomery County Public Schools has its own security force, and they work to make certain that the school itself is that there's personnel throughout the day in the school for various things, and that we also have entranceways to make certain that they're safe. If you know of something that is unsafe, if you feel that something is not right, please let any of us know, but especially if you're in a high school, the school resource officer. That is the way that we can solve problems once we hear of them as quickly as we possibly can.
I'm also going to turn to Councilmember Albornoz and then Board President Evans, because I know that this is such an important issue and it's in the minds of not just you as students, but also parents. And the only thing I will say is that part of what we try to do is to strike that balance, because we want to make sure that you are able to come to school to learn. And so striking the balance of, strengthening our security measures, et cetera, with giving you also the freedom to be able to come in and out of school, it's really delicate, but we understand how front and center this issue is. So let me turn it over to Councilmember Albornoz, and then Board President Evans can talk about some of the specific changes to the physical, the physicality of the building that they have undertaken in order to make the building safer.
Well, this is Exhibit A for one of those issues that is unimaginable, that we did not have to process or deal with when we were going to school. And I have 4 kids. They're all under the age of 11, and 3 of them who have already been through active shooter drills in their school. And we have to be vigilant and proactive, but I'm very concerned about the emotional toll that this is taking on our students. And we also need to be cognizant of when we come across our peers or friends or people in your classrooms who are exhibiting signs of distress, who are looking depressed and feeling depressed and showing signs of anxiety or anxiousness, please try to reach out to them. There are resources within each school that you can readily access through your school counselors, and we all need to support each other. I've attended 10 years worth of these youth town hall summits, and the issue of bullying has come up in every single one of them. And I've been bullied, and if I think about it, it's very possible I've bullied people without even realizing it. And so we have to make sure that we look out for our fellow classmates, but we also have to think about our own actions and the manner in which we treat people. We have to go by the golden rule and treat people how we want to be treated. So, but those mental health services are so critically important to this very serious issue as well.
Yes. I definitely wanted to mention that we definitely want to make certain that our students are safe and secure. We have done a lot of work trying to make certain that that has happened. In our middle schools and high schools, we have made certain that there are security vestibules that have been installed in all of our schools. We have a visitor management system where before people can even get past the main office, they have to sign in. People have been fingerprinted. We're able to identify whether or not someone has a past record that would deem them unsafe to be in our school. You've heard about the active shooter training. We have had that take place at our elementary, middle school, and high school, but it all is specific to that age group so that you'll know in the event that you're inside the school building what you should do to stay safe if you're in the classroom, if you're away from your classroom, to go to an outside designated location where you can go to be able to notify people that you're safe, as well as how to distract someone. So we want to make certain that you all are prepared and that you're aware. We also have received funding from the state in order to be able to put measures in place. And also we have making certain that people that before they come in the building, if they are not someone that is an employee of MCPS, and by the way, all MCPS employees have been fingerprinted, that they take training before they are around our students. So we're really trying to make certain that we're keeping you safe, that we're keeping you in mind, but that safety for us does not mean guns. We want to make certain that we keep guns out of our schools, but that we keep you safe with the proper measures that are in place in advance before anything happens.
Okay. Next question.
My name is Fatima Ali. I'm an 8th grader at Rocky Hill Middle School. I've heard about the boundary study, and I'm going to get affected by that because my home high school is Clarksburg High School, but I'm going to have to go to Seneca Valley, which is really far away from my house, so I'm really concerned about the outcomes.
All right, so Board President.
Yes. So we are, as you said, we are undergoing a boundary study for Seneca Valley, Northwest, and Clarksburg. And by the way, students can sign up to give testimony. Our CIP hearing will be on November the 5th, as well as there will be a specific hearing for the boundary study around Clarksburg, Seneca Valley, and Northwest on November the 18th. So please come out and give your thoughts and feedback to that. But what I will say is that the superintendent, as well as our employees, took some great time to do this analysis. We try to make certain that we provide as much relief as possible. We do know that we're over capacity, and Clarksburg was one of the schools that was provided the most relief. With Northwest, we do plan to build a new high school pretty soon that will provide even more relief to Northwest. And Seneca Valley, this is what I would say, all of our schools are great, so no matter where you end up, you will get a quality education. And we just wanted to make certain that our students are able to continue to walk to school, that you are provided with the quality programs. And so I would just say to you, come out and give your feedback and your comments at our public hearings. But we made certain that as we were doing this analysis, that we were looking at our schools and where they were overutilized, and making certain that we're taking into consideration the geographic location and proximity.
Thank you. Councilmember Rice.
So the board president has been very politically correct. I'm going to just say it like this. Seneca Valley is a great school, and Seneca Valley is going to be an even better school when it's provided the resources that it's been lacking for so long. It's going to be a state-of-the-art school. Seneca Valley is going to have better resources than any one of our schools in the Up County. I would say, and I'm telling you right now, as the father of a child who's at Kingsview Middle, I would love to have my daughter go to Seneca Valley because of the resources that would be there. This is an awesome school, I'm telling you. And let me tell you something else. For those of you who think that because you may have heard in the neighborhood, and I live here in Germantown, so I know, if folks, think that, Seneca Valley's rough or Seneca Valley's gangster and it's got all these problems and all that, Seneca Valley has less incidents of violence than any of our up-county schools. I'm going to drop a little bit of knowledge on you right now. So that just goes to show you, don't believe what you hear in the streets. I'm going to tell you, seriously, Seneca Valley is a great school, and it's going to be a brand new school with an IB program, with a CTE school that people are going to be asking to get accepted to go to from all across the county. Why would you not want to go to a school that's going to give you everything you need? Like I was telling you before, all the resources that you need to be successful. So I just want to put that out there as a plug for Seneca Valley. Even though all of our schools are great, I will tell you right now, that's going to be a great, great school where anybody would be lucky to attend.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes. Next question.
Hi, my name is Ashley. I'm a student here at Clarksburg. So it seems like you guys advocate for college a lot, but there are kids in the community that college is not meant for them. In what ways do you advocate for them? What programs do you provide for those kids, like for their future? Like, what do you do to help with that?
Excellent. So I know that everybody's going to want to answer this question, because let me tell you that, for us on the county council, we have been really busy looking at what it means to make sure that Montgomery County continues to be a county that is strong in terms of its economic vitality, and it's strong in terms of the types of jobs that we create, so that every neighborhood is a desirable neighborhood that everybody wants to live in, which goes back to this boundary study question too. Every school should be an amazing school, and in order for us to get into that throughout the entire county, we have to make sure that our young people have access to different opportunities wherever they want to be. Why? Because we have so many different job opportunities already that require maybe a technical skill, right? That can pay you like really well. And a lot of times that might be your foot in the door, that you may want to go to college and finish it or not. Or you may want to be an entrepreneur. What if you want to launch your own business? What opportunities exist for that? So it's not one track. The idea is to make sure that wherever you come in, that you know how to access the information and the assistance necessary in terms of guidance to get you there. Because in a way, for us, this is exactly how we can attract those really awesome corporations. For example, Amazon went to Northern Virginia. One of the things that they wanted was to ensure that they had what they call a pipeline, right? A workforce ready. And so for us now, that is a very important thing that we're seeking to do. So I appreciate that question, because we are working on that in a very specific and strategic way. We know that we have to expand our tax base. We have to bring more revenue so that we can continue to invest in things like education. But that means that each of you should have that opportunity to be able to access and, you know, and make sure that you realize your potential wherever it is. So I'll let folks talk about some of the specific, really exciting things that are happening, right? Let me start with Councilmember Katz, since Councilmember Rice, you know, he knows everything. So we'll just turn it over here for a little second, and then we'll go back to him. Yes.
Well, thank you very, very much for the question. When I first started speaking, I talked about career education. It's very important to all of us, and it's something that someone can have a great living doing it. We remember that this friend of mine who was a circuit court judge, he's now retired, talks about that one day his daughter called him and said that a pipe just burst in her house. And he said, "Sweetie, you don't need a judge, you need a plumber." And that's exactly what we go through. Everybody has certain days that they need people with a background of different backgrounds. I've often been concerned about someone that is not great, doesn't like the academic side. All of us should enjoy it. But, you know, there's times that people don't, and they figure, well, I might not want to stay in school. My grades aren't so great. They're not going to let me be on a team. Why do I need this for? And I can tell you, you do need it. And I can also tell you that if you can find a career that you're happy doing, I mean, and become an electrician, become someone in one of the trades, do whatever, and then you realize that you really do need more background to do your books of the business that you start or whatever. That's the time that you realize that all of the educational backgrounds that you have are the best. And so we have all made certain that the money is there for more career education, and we will continue to do that. But the bottom line is, everything you do, you can get the much better life for yourself, and for all of us, candidly, when you have the best education you can possibly have. And Montgomery County is going to do that.
I'm going to turn to Councilman Rice and then Councilman Albornoz.
Just very quickly, so when I used the acronym before CTE, I didn't say what that was, Career and Technical Education. So that's the new program that will be at Seneca Valley that many people will be able to apply to. I'm just going to say very briefly, and my wife hates it when I say it, my wife didn't go to college. She got her cosmetology license in high school and now owns a salon in downtown Bethesda, doing very well. So let me just tell you that you're absolutely right. There are people who don't need to go to college who can still be successful if that's what you choose. Again, giving you that opportunity to choose whatever your pathway is to your success. And so we need to be supportive of everyone, which is why we're retooling our guidance counselors who only want to tell kids you are not going to go to college and you have to go into this career pathway, or that you're not going to go to college and you have to go into a career pathway. Those two things aren't things that guidance counselors should decide. They should be supporting you in whatever direction you take. So the programs are there, and the mindset is now changing to where we're supporting our kids in those decisions.
Yes.
I certainly agree with all that, and I think the other important element here is to expose you guys to different career options that are out there. The Summer Rise program, which was born a couple of years ago, I think has tremendous potential and is something that we need to expand upon, because when I was your age, I had no idea what I wanted to do professionally and went through 3 or 4 different pretty significant career changes before I ended up sitting here today. And so it's important for us to give you guys different opportunities and give you a sense of what options are out there, because you're absolutely right. College is not entirely necessary for some of the entrepreneurial or coding positions that are becoming available and some of those technology positions that are becoming available. College is still the best option in my opinion, but there are many other options that are out there and wonderful careers that don't necessarily require a four-year degree.
I'll just add, so a lot of what I was going to say was mentioned, but back in 2016, we had a study, a meta-study report done that really had us think about high school a little bit differently. And so I would really advise you all to, and maybe we'll have Nate put something out, our chief academic officer, Dr. Maria Navarro, what she's doing is she's going around the county having discussions around high school options, and we want to make sure that you know what is available out there for you if college is not the pathway for you, that there are career options. I would also advise you all to get to know your career resource counselor in your schools. They can identify all the different options that are within our school system in the event that you're not aware of it. So I just wanted to make note of that.
That's awesome. Thank you. Next question.
Hi, I'm Nevaeh. I'm a senior and I go to Watkins Mill High School. And my question was, how could we make the food at school more healthier and better and have better choices?
Oh, the food, yeah. Yeah, all right. Who wants to tackle that one? Because that one comes up every single time we have a youth town hall. Okay? All right, all right.
Absolutely. So I'll start off by saying the food has gotten a lot better. I did not mention in the very beginning that I have two girls that are in the public school system. One is in the 8th grade at Argyle, and one is a junior at John F. Kennedy High School. We have a really great person over food services, and for whatever reason right now her name is escaping me, but I know at one point in time that she did have students on a committee taste testing the food. So if you want to give feedback and you want to give comments, once again, you all follow Nate on Twitter, reach out to board members, send us emails, and we'll put you in connection with food services. But we're trying to make certain that we're considering our students that are vegetarians. We are trying to have healthier options. In some schools, you have salad bars so that you can kind of do something a little bit different. We're thinking about having kiosks in the future in some of our cafeterias. So just email us, so that way we can put you in contact with food services. That way you can provide some input and feedback. But we are working to make our foods healthier, taste better, and be more appealing to you.
All right, next question.
Stand up. We're going to be 15 minutes till the show's over. We see lots of hands up, okay, you guys? So don't worry, that they will stay after and talk to you if you don't get to ask your question, but we're going to try to get in as many questions as we can this last 15 minutes.
Hi, my name is Elena, and I'm a sophomore at Clarksburg. With the current boundary study that's going on, I was wondering if you had any insight on how the board plans to vote on grandfathering in juniors, as well as how you foresee it affecting property values.
So I didn't hear the first part. The first, you said, do we plan to vote on? I didn't hear that question. I didn't hear that part of it.
Grandfathering in juniors for the boundary study.
For the boundary study, I know this. So it will be, I believe, I want to say it will be juniors, I believe. And then in the middle school, it will be 4th and 5th graders. Don't quote me on that. I'll get back to you all on that. But I do not, in terms of decisions, we will hear testimony at our public hearings and then come to a decision to be made on the November 26th.
So I'm going through a home purchase right now, and let me just tell you that it's a misnomer that there's property values are really truly linked to schools in Montgomery County. In Montgomery County, any real estate agent will tell you, and I'm dealing with one right now, that will tell you that any Montgomery County school is actually a plus. When people come and locate here to the state of Maryland, they're always looking at Montgomery County. So we don't see property values go up and down that much based on schools. There are other things when you have access to transportation, when you have access to some of the economic development centers, if you have shopping centers, all those kinds of things. And those are more important, actually, than the schools themselves, and especially since the reality is that folks look at elementary and middle schools more than they do high schools, because people, as they typically move, are typically moving when they're starting families, and then they stay in that house for a very long period of time. So that's the reason why, just to give you a little background, I can give you a paper that was written about that particular issue. If you see me afterwards, I can let you know that.
Councilmember Albornoz.
So those are both understandable questions, and I appreciate those comments. I will say that the best way to address this issue is by to raise all boats. I think that if we, as Councilmember Rice said so well regarding Seneca Valley, every school in Montgomery County has such tremendous assets and such tremendous teachers and administrators and students and parents. And so I think we need to do what we can to be more intentional about providing support for those schools that, for whatever reason, are lacking in some areas. And I do think that if we follow that approach, raising all boats, that will appease and address a number of the understandable concerns that are out there regarding the boundary changes.
The other thing I would say, I chair the Fiscal Policy Committee for the county. We just got back from New York meeting with the rating agencies in Wall Street, and we were given the AAA bond rating, which is the highest creditworthiness rating that any jurisdiction can receive, and we are the only county that has retained AAA bond rating since 1973. One of the things that was discussed is that median house prices, property values, have gone up in Montgomery County. There has not been a drop. And so, you know, I know that this is obviously something that is of great concern because this is one of your biggest investment, and I say that as a homeowner. But what we see is, as it was described, is that in terms of the region, Montgomery County always leads because of, number one, we know that the quality of the entire school system is so high that that's why people want to move here. But number two, when we look at the data, house prices, property values have gone up steadily. So that has, you know, it's not as if there has been any particular issue regarding property values.
Oh, so good evening. My name is Zahir Moued. I go to Clarksburg High School, and I'm in 11th grade. So my question here today is, there has been many incidents in MoCo, such as at Northwest High School and Kingsview Middle School, when students were hit by cars because of no crossing guards. So my main question here today is, why doesn't MCPS high schools and middle schools have crossing guards? Drivers aren't always willing to stop for pedestrians or students crossing the streets. They're more focused on getting to work. And our principal, Mr. Wusu, takes his time out every morning to help direct the traffic flow, when his time could be used for dealing with more serious issues in the school, and crossing guards can be taken care of doing that.
Thank you for that very important question. Councilmember Rice.
So I'm going to encourage you to join a movement that's led by Action Committee for Transit that's dealing with safe routes to school. And I know that Zoe, who's here, Zoe, stand up. Zoe, who's here from Clarksburg, can give you more information about how to get involved. I will tell you that we've been very responsive. I have a daughter at Kingsview and another daughter at Northwest. So I know all too well about every single one. In fact, when those two students were hit, it was my office working with our Maryland State Highway Association, Department of Transportation, who actually changed that signal so that we could actually make it so that there's a leading walk signal all the way through that intersection. I will tell you that there are some high schools to where it is not safe to walk to school. And I'm going to tell you that Seneca Valley is one of those where I have tremendous concerns about people being able to safely walk to school. I've had conversations with our superintendent, Jack Smith, about instituting an all-bus program for Seneca Valley because of the major intersections that Seneca Valley sits at. We're doing an evaluation of all of our areas surrounding our schools to better understand how we can do that. I know that Councilmember Navarro in her district is dealing with some of those issues when it comes to Georgia Avenue, where unfortunately students were hit. We've got a lot of these issues all around, and you're right, a lot of it is driver awareness, and these are our neighbors. These are our family members and friends too. So we also need to talk to people about slowing down and making sure that, look, even if you're in the right and somebody's walking in the middle of the street and they shouldn't be, which we know happens, the reality is that we don't want to hit someone. Slow down. give people a little bit more time, especially around this time where we have daylight savings time and those incidents are going to increase. So that's just my PSA, but there's more to come, and there's a lot of work that's being done on this issue.
Can I just thank the county council members for just 1 second, because Councilmember Rice just mentioned the accident that happened on Georgia Avenue, and so there has, I live off of Georgia Avenue, there has been a lot of major upgrades, and we are getting traffic lights in a spot where there's typically a lot of accidents when they're turning left onto Georgia Avenue. So you are sitting in front of council members who not only give us the money for our budget in the school system, but they put their words into action. So I just wanted to say thank you to them publicly.
And let me just quickly add that, you know, we also have to take responsibility ourselves, and we need to do everything that has been mentioned, and I certainly agree with it. But we also need to make certain that we cross where there's crosswalks. We don't go in the middle of the block. That we make certain that you don't go against the light. You don't run. You don't keep things in your ears when you're going across the road, because that's what happens in many cases. People are distracted, not only distracted drivers, but the people become distracted pedestrians. And that is a terrible situation, and that's when we unfortunately can have some of these real horrible stories.
And also the thing I will add is that anytime you see a road that has a number, that is actually controlled by the state highway administration. And so part of our role, and we have been really aggressive in ensuring that the state highway administration cooperates with us and works with us, so that when there are issues such as in Georgia Avenue or any other issue that is a state road, that they will work with us to do what's called engineering fixes that can then make it much, much safer. Part of what we have experienced is that the county, because it has grown, you know, there have been roads and intersections that were built back in a time when there was not as many cars and pedestrians trying to negotiate that, right? So that's one of the things that we are doing, and I have to say that the State Highway Administration has been a lot more collaborative, you know, than in the past. So we continue to work on these issues because it's a real serious problem throughout the county.
Yep. One thing I'd just like to add, I've had all of us have had the opportunity to interview our soon-to-be new director, well, actually new director of transportation for the county. And one of the issues we discussed was because of Waze and Google Maps, there's a lot more traffic on local streets than there ever has been before for people who are trying to save 2-3 minutes by avoiding some of the major highways. So we have to now be diligent everywhere, and it underscores this really important point.
Next question.
Hello, my name is Adam. I'm from Clarksburg High School. I have a question. Why do teachers always tend to rush tests and quizzes towards the end of the quarter?
Good question.
Did you hear that?
Board Member Evan.
Yeah.
So first I want to start off by answering, there was a student who asked a question about will students be grandfathered? Yes, 8th grade, 11th, and 12th grade. I don't know why I said 5th grade. That was a mistake. And then to your question, so I hope that there is not a rush to administer tests, but there are a certain number of tests and assessments that have to be administered each year. And you know, we're coming up on our school calendar, and so we're often challenged. At one point in time, we were mandated by our governor to start school after Labor Day and end by June 15th. We've been given a little bit of flexibility, but when it comes to weather, depending on the time of the year that we hold elections, that also impacts the number of days that we are in school. We have 180 days in which to administer teaching and learning and assessments. And so I'm just going to say if we have a lot of inclement weather and that puts some constraints on the calendar, it may be a reason why there is a rush to make sure that everything gets in. But that will be a discussion that we can have with our teachers union to make certain that we have built-in time to be able to administer everything that we need to administer to our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question.
So I'm a sophomore at Damascus, and I read that in the CIP recommendations from our superintendent that there would be major renovations at Damascus, and I wanted to know what those renovations would mean, essentially.
So I can't say specifically what those renovations will be, but I will say that going to visit the school, looking at the facilities, we have key facility indicators that lets us know when we need to make repairs and make renovations to our school. So we have made certain that people were out at Damascus. We heard from the community that came and testified to be able to let us know all the things that were taking place at Damascus that needed to result in an upgrade. But we have to also make certain that we do our due diligence and we have systems in place that let us know when we should make repairs and renovations to our schools, and Damascus was one of those schools. So just be ready to get some updates and upgrades to your school.
Next question.
Good afternoon. My name is Myrna. I'm a sophomore here at Clarksburg. I know we have done things for transportation, like if you're riding free, if we give our IDs to ride on buses, and then transportation to places like Edison or Seneca Valley. But I would like to ask if we could incorporate more transportations, since, like you said, we want everyone to have equal opportunity, and then if people if their parents can't drive them there or are working a lot of the time and can't make them drive them to something like this, for example, my parents can do that for me. I would like for the transportation to be more accessible for students.
Thank you so much. The Kids Ride Free program, it's a really amazing program, and actually there was a point in time when it was cut completely, and the previous council made sure that we found the money to reinstate that, and then most recently we appropriated funds to expand the hours as well. And so this is definitely one of those issues that we are constantly addressing, because it's absolutely true. I mean, the challenge, of course, is that this is a very large county. It's like 500 square miles. And so we have been working on particular systems like bus rapid transit and looking at the different corridors to make sure that we can connect that also to our metro stations, looking at right on kind of like a flex program. It's like a pilot to see where we can deploy that. And I'm looking forward to, the next budget that the executive will give us to see what other kinds of, what expansions on those kinds of pilots, what money is he including, so that we can continue to look at this issue of access. And I totally understand, because I live in the east part of the county. When my daughters still were not driving, I was the driver, and I was so happy when they finally were able to, get their license and all that. But because there was not access to public transportation, there still actually isn't where I live. So there are a lot of different corridors that we are examining, and it always comes up, this issue of funding. It's always a concern, but we have made real progress in identifying areas where you have a lot of ridership, in areas where if we provided more trustworthy, accessible transportation, people then would use it, right? So stay tuned, and once again, I think also once we get into our own budget process, which we get the budget from the executive on March 15th, be sure to send us emails or come over to testify or tweet at us, and share your priorities as well, because that is when we're able to look at how can we distribute that $5.8 billion, and how do we address some of those very important priorities like access to transit and transportation in general.
So as your district council member, let me just say this is an opportunity for advocacy. The Corridor City Transitway was recently cut by Governor Hogan out of what's called our Consolidated Trust Plan. If you want to talk about increasing transit opportunities, this is one of them. This would connect the Up County to Shady Grove Metro, which would then give you access to the metro station and not have to take a circuitous bus that goes all around and do multiple transfers. So guess what? You have an opportunity tonight to reach out to Governor Hogan and tell him you want to see him restore the CCT, Corridor City Transitway, back in the budget. I challenge you guys to make that happen. That's incredibly important for us, and I think that, again, that would help. We'll need additional ride-on routes and all the things that the council president said as well, but that's a key one that we need to make sure that we're connecting our up-county to a lot of the mass transit resources.
And the reason why that is so critical is because we don't have enough money locally for all of these huge investments, and the state is supposed to help us. But then, you know, we go through the trouble of identifying these routes and these types of services, and then we put in some money, and then all of a sudden the governor decides that it's not a priority. So what Councilmember Rice is saying is really important, especially for people who live in this part of the county, to send a very strong message that it's not right what he did to basically pull out something that was already programmed that is going to give you guys a lot of relief when it comes to this kind of connectivity. Next question.
Hi, I'm Kyla, and I'm a sophomore here at Clarksburg High School, and my question to you is, how do you decide which schools go into the capital improvement program and make sure that schools that really need it aren't overlooked?
What a great question. So I'm going to turn it over to Board President Shevra Evans just to let you know that this has also been a really, really important issue. Once upon a time, there was like a queue and nobody really understood, but why do we have that queue? And everybody wanted to respect that. And the school system, to its credit, and the Board of Education has really looked at how to redefine that queue and that order to make sure that we're responding to the schools that have the biggest need. And also sometimes they used to want to just do a total tear down, for example, right? But they looked at what are the best ways to leverage the money that we have to make sure that the facilities are up to par. But I'll turn it over to Board President Evans to describe what are they doing currently.
Right. So if you go online, you're able to look at all of our schools, and I mentioned earlier about our key facility indicators. That is what we are using to determine what we will need to do with our schools to see if their structure is sound on the structure on the inside. So if you can go online, and if you type in the search engine KFI, you will pull it up and you'll be able to go and look at your school. So there will be either a green dot, which means that everything is all a go. There will be a yellow dot that means that maybe we need to take a look at what's going on, and then there will be a red dot that will say that we really need to do some work in this building, and it'll have various. It'll have your HVAC, which is your heating, your air and ventilation system. It will tie to your bathrooms. It will tie to the structure of your building. So we try to make this, we try to be transparent, because we heard from our community that we don't know when our schools are coming up, and from what we can see, we think our building needs to be repaired. So we try to create a system in which you can see what's going on in your building and how we're making determinations as to what kind of fixes we're going to do, and if you'll be included in the capital improvements program.
Okay, next question.
My name is Sage, and I'm a freshman from Clarksburg High School. I was wondering what you're going to do to increase the diversity in our curriculum and to make it more relatable to what we're doing in what we want to do in our future.
I love that question. Thank you so much for that question. I will obviously turn to our board president, but I can tell you that when the school system announced that they were going to look at how to revamp their curriculum, the county council, even though we can't tell the Board of Education what to do, but we can share our, desires. And one of the things that we said was, we need to make sure that that curriculum is culturally proficient, right? That it reflects the student population that we have in our school system, and that it responds to that, because it is so important for our students to see themselves reflected in the curriculum. It is a no-brainer that if you're studying something that reflects your experience, reflects your history, reflects all of these things, of course you're going to be more engaged. And so it is really, truly critical, especially for a school system like ours. I don't know if you guys know this, but Montgomery County Public Schools became a majority school system of color in the year 2000. And so it is so important that you as students and parents hold all of us accountable to ensure that we are responding appropriately to the needs of the student population. No longer can we talk about little pockets here and there. This is who we are. And the cool thing about that is that Montgomery County really is a microcosm of the nation and of the world. And I can tell you, I meet so many students that have gone through Montgomery County Public Schools, including recently 3 brothers that graduated from Blair High School who launched a tech startup called Truebill, who just moved back from Silicon Valley to downtown Silver Spring to run their business there. They just secured $15 million of investment. And the reason they came back, they said, was because they missed the diversity of Montgomery County, and they were so grateful to have gone to Montgomery County Public Schools because it prepared them for what they're doing now. So our diversity really, truly is an asset, right? But we have to continue to look at issues like teacher diversity, curriculum that reflects the student population, ensuring that everybody sees themselves reflected in all these different opportunities. So I'm really excited about this opportunity for curriculum to be changed. And my daughters are Afro-Latinas, my husband's from Haiti, and that's something they used to always point out to me in terms of the curriculum not reflecting the full breadth of the student population. So I appreciate that question. Is there anything you'd like to add, board member?
So you said it all. We are a very diverse school system. We pride ourselves on our diversity. We're more than 165,000 students from 157 countries, speaking 150 languages, and the board saw that as a value. And so back in the last school year, in 2019, we adopted a new curriculum where we believe is very diverse. It speaks to the needs of all of our students. Not every school at this time, we're slowly implementing the curriculum. So about 82 odd schools have the new curriculum, and next year we will bring it to all of our schools. But as Councilmember Navarro said, we are working to also make certain that our workforce is diverse. We want our students to see themselves in the people that are in front of them, whether they're educators, they're supporting service, just any staff member that is employed here in Montgomery County. So we take our diversity, we take it very seriously.
And thank you for the question. I just wanted to point out, of the top 10 most diverse places in America, 4 are in Montgomery County. 4 of the top 10 most diverse places in America. So Montgomery County is very proudly diverse, and we need to make certain that our students are receiving the education to make them so very proud to be educated in Montgomery County.
Thank you. Next question.
Hi. My name is KD, and I'm a senior at Clarksburg, and I just wanted to talk about certain teaching methods. So basically, at my school, most of the people are always like walking in the hall or skipping class, and the main reason why that happens is because class is not engaging enough for them. I believe teachers should diversify their teaching methods. That's why it doesn't reach everybody, so most people sometimes don't feel concerned about going to class. So what steps are you taking towards improving that?
That's a very powerful statement, and I think we're very lucky to also have Dr. Navarro here, Maria Navarro, and all the members of the board, because this is really central to educational excellence, right? Because if students don't feel engaged in the content, if the practices that are put in place in the classroom are not best practices and are not based on this issue of serving the students, of course, there's not going to be that engagement, which a lot of times it turns out that leads to people perhaps then being distracted, not wanting to be in classrooms. But you know what? That also can lead to issues of suspension or detention. And then we see the data, and the data is very clear. And so I really appreciate that question, and I hope that everybody who is responsible here for, particular education policies and implementing pays close attention and also is able to follow up directly with your school, specifically with the principal, because we on the county council are responsible for making the final decisions about the money. And so that is what we have to do. But we also have to provide oversight. And the one thing that all of us are really committed is to making sure that this issue, which has been coming up forever. I used to serve on the Board of Education from 2004 to 2009. We were discussing those issues. And so we are saying no more. There is no excuse for any school in Montgomery County to still be dealing with that particular issue of not being engaging enough for our students. You are the customers, right? So we need to make sure that that is occurring. And what I hope is that, again, folks are taking notes, that they can follow up with you directly and get that feedback, because that's very rich feedback to make sure that the money that we're investing is giving us the return necessary. I don't know if anybody else wants to respond to that, but this is really central.
No, I'm just, as Councilmember Navarro said, I'm definitely taking notes, and it is a concern of the board. We've had discussion and duly noted.
Let me just say this again, like I said before, about issues. If you went to McDonald's and your fries were jacked, you would say something to the person. You go up to the register and you say, seriously, this is what you gave me? Why do you treat your education any differently? You have a right, to make sure that you go and say, this isn't speaking to me. This isn't working for me. And you have the right to tell not only your teacher, who's the person who's delivering that to you, and challenge them to teach you in a different way that makes sure that it reaches you. And then also, if that doesn't work, then to go to your principal or your other administrators within the school and say this isn't working, and also your parents. And then when that doesn't happen, that's where we come in to say, okay, we need to bring the hammer because there's obviously something that's not working. But I want to encourage you all have more power than you give yourselves credit for. And I want you to walk away from tonight understanding that each of you and your voice is valued and should be heard. And so I'm not saying that you shouldn't say these things to us. What I'm saying is you need to say them to the people who are giving you the stuff that you don't like first, and make sure that they know that it's not working, and then come to us and make sure that we then know if it's still not being rectified. So that's how this system should work. And so I want to make sure that you guys feel comfortable and confident in terms of that you have a voice and a say in terms of what happens for your education at each of your schools.
And I did want to add, so recently we had an equity resource study take place in our school system where we were looking at how well are our kids doing in our schools, and the information that came back showed us that we need to take a look at what's going on at each of our schools, because our students may not be getting that quality education that we thought that they were getting. So one thing that we wanted to be able to do is take this information that we got back from this study, share it with the community, so that our community, as we make decisions as a board, that we're hearing from our community and getting feedback and input from our community. So I just want to say that I will take that back. But if you all can continue to, through Nate or on your own, go to our website. You can look at our meetings. You don't have to be present. You can go in your spare time, but look at our agendas to see what stands out to you. And then you can go online and look at the video and kind of hear the discussion. But a lot of everything that we do, it impacts you. You are our customer, and we want to make certain that we're serving you well. And so I believe the hashtag was "Your Voice Matters." It does. It matters. So it's really important that not only at student town hall meetings, but that we're hearing from you on a regular basis. That way we can know that we're serving you well, because we don't want to just do what we think is right. We want to do what we hear the students say that they need as well. Just want to share that.
Okay, this is our last question. We have about 10 seconds to ask it and 10 seconds to answer it.
I am a junior at Churchill, and I'm wondering about the resources MCPS offers for those affected by sexual assault in schools.
So we hope that if our students have been assaulted, that they are reporting that. We have people that are in our schools that are ready and able to help you and provide you with resources in the school as well as outside of the school to the family and to the students. So please just make certain to reach out to your schools and be in contact if something has impacted you in a way where you need some additional support.
Thank you so much. That's going to end it for us tonight. And I know there were still a lot of hands up here tonight. If you have a question, hashtag MoCo Youth, hashtag Your Voice Matters. Send us the question. We'll try our best to get you an answer. Send it to us on Twitter. I'm going to turn it over to Council President Nancy Navarro for some closing remarks.
Thank you so much for coming out tonight. This was a rainy night, so I really appreciate everybody coming over. That means that you care. That means that you're interested to share your opinion, your voice, your recommendations. Stay in touch with us. We are very accessible to you, and we want to make sure that we are supporting you every step of the way. So have a good night and stay safe.